Are you looking to start your very own internet radio station or radio network? Do you need a reliable, high-bandwidth, dedicated server? Reliastream offers some of the lowest rates on the web. Reliastream supports Shoutcast, Icecast, and iTunes radio broadcasting. We are so confident you will love our services. We even offer a free 15-day trial. You will also enjoy our free top-rated customer service, free live support, and low-cost dedicated servers. Visit www.reliastream.com. That's reliastream.com to get started.
You're tuned in to Rebooting Liberty.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. It is I, yes, your lovable host, Elrod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where, by the way, the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I checked again today just to make sure. The number that you can call this evening is toll-free 603-835-3224. The numbers are in, folks. The numbers are in, and October was a jaw-dropping and record-setting month for the Rod Eccles Show. Well over 100,000 listeners. Yes, indeed. And that means that you people are out there listening, you're tuning in, you're telling other people about the program, you're sharing it. That is wonderful. I thank you much, as Sharpton would say. Much, I thank you. Or is it, thank you much, I must? Or something like that, isn't it? Resist much, we must, or must we, whatever. I don't know how you can only talk like that if you're just as big of a fool as he is, and obviously I can't get him straight. So, anyway, welcome. We got a lot to cover today. Lots to go over. And it is the beginning, well, it's the day number 2 of the week, but still early parts of the week. I know people are out there discussing what Obama has said about the GOP. And my only reaction is, are you surprised? The arrogant, in the arrogant one in chief is out there. Look, hey, I can deal with Putin, Barack, somebody needs to tell Barack that he really isn't dealing with Putin at all. And he's not dealing with Xi from China at all. It's like they are, look, the Republican candidates had a legitimate gripe with that last debate. A legitimate, that's not whining. I know left-wing media is out there, lamestream media is out there saying, oh, they're whining about, no, they weren't. Look, here's the deal with the debate. And this is the way it should be for both sides. The Democratic nominating debate and the Republican nominating, in any debate. The moderator or moderators should not even be noticed. They shouldn't. It should be simple questions from the American people. Not what the lamestream media would like to ask, and not any gotcha question, and it should be the same question for all of them. You go down the line. You just start saying, Mr. Trump, you're at the top of the heap right now. A lot of them, with unemployment, the labor participation rate as low as it is. Be honest, for crying out loud. There's no more trying to protect Obama. He's done. Just be freaking honest about the questions. With labor participation rate as low as it is the growth rate in the economic growth rate is as anemic as it is, as evidenced by the Fed not being able to raise interest rates. And many Americans from many different polls are saying that they're not very pleased or happy or confident in the economy, that the economy is still pretty sluggish. What would you do, Mr. Trump, to reignite the American economic engine? And then take that same question, Mr. Carson, same question to you. What would you do to reignite the American economic engine? Mr. Cruz, what would you do? Mr. Bush, that's how you moderate. You don't interject your stupidness, for crying out loud. There is no whining from the right about that. In fact, look, if you compare the two debates, the last Republican debate and the only Democratic debate, you can see a marked difference in how they were handled. That's nobody's imagination. I mean, it was so bad on the left for the Democratic debate that people on the left, their most staunch supporters, were bashing it. I mean, even Bill Maher was saying, my God, I got to agree with Cruz here. I can't believe this. This is awful. So when you have people on the left who are admittedly extreme leftists, total in the tank leftists, who bash the Democrat debate as being weak and pathetic, well, then you better take notice. Because if those kinds of people understood that and took notice of that, don't you think the regular electorate, who may not be as far left as a Bill Maher or some of the other people? I mean, it was just horrific. And they also had to go on record as saying that they agreed that with the Republican debate, they agreed with, Bill Maher agreed with Cruz on that and said, gee, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Cruz, but these people are terrible. These moderators are awful. This is not a debate. What the hell is going on? We want to hear. Look, even the left wants to hear what the right has to say. If for any reason at all, it's just to be able to bash them later on. I mean, the left couldn't get much fodder out of the debate, the last Republican debate, because the moderators were so awful. They were so in the tank for Hillary Clinton, it's ridiculous. Well, I think it's time that we take so-called journalists and media personalities out of the picture. You don't get some no-name idiot up there who all they're going to do is just ask basic questions. You know, the basic questions that Americans want to know the answers to. In order to get to know the candidates, both on the left and the right, they want to hear the basic questions. And they want to hear basic answers to those questions. What are you going to do about the economy? What are you going to do about the Middle East? What are you going to do about foreign relations as far as our allies are concerned? What are you going to do about Putin? What are you going to do about China? I mean, those are basic questions. You ask the same question down the line. And then if you have time, then you can get into the rebuttal phase or rebuttal process and let them go at each other. But I'm getting sick and tired of this kind of debate kind of crap. I want to hear, in order for me to make a decision, just like most other Americans who are, and most of us are still undecided, especially on the right. There's a bunch of people that are still undecided. And it is very difficult for us to try to put together a reasoned, logical reason to support one candidate over the other because we're not able to hear them. We're just not. I mean, the debates is where you really get to the meat of what a candidate believes. All the rest of the stuff is just platitudes and sound bites and gotcha stuff and zingers. Trump's the master of zingers. Got to give it to him. But look, I want to hear more about his plans as president. Well, I'm sorry, but a zinger on Putin is not going to work. I want these guys and gals to be able to get deep into their policy, their potential policy. And look, they're going to understand whether or not the American people agree with them, whether by their support. If their support starts to go up after such a debate or conference, then they'll know that they're on the right track with the American people. And if their support doesn't go up or it goes down, then they know they need to rethink their position and possibly moderate it. Or when they're out there on the stump telling us exactly why they feel the way they do. But we're not getting. Look, the lamestream media's attempt at making this entertaining is robbing each and every one of us. That's all it's doing. It's just robbing us. And it is not allowing the American people to become more educated about their candidates. I mean, look, you had that video that's gone viral on YouTube. I don't remember the guy's name who was the reporter who was asking about whether, and he was asking a lot of younger females if he said basically, Hillary Clinton is all for Sharia law. Do you think that's a good idea? And all these women were, because they heard the name Hillary, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, these people need to understand what their candidates really stand for. Now, for one, I've never heard Hillary Clinton come out and say that she supports Sharia law, but she has said that she's all for women's rights. Well, Sharia law is the antithesis of women's rights. It's anti-women's rights. But the reason that the American people are so ignorant is because we have a media that refuses to let them be educated. And let's face it, most Americans are not like, the majority of us that listen to this program. We're going to go out and investigate. The majority of Americans do not. I know as sad as it might be, as that may be, they just don't. They rely on platitudes and sound bites to be educated. And that's not a serious education. Look, we had, record numbers of people watching debates now. And I don't think that we've really learned much. And it isn't because the candidates aren't willing to talk. I mean, hell, even Bernie Sanders was like, well, of course he was being an idiot by saying we don't care about her damn emails. We do. But his other point was, we need to talk about the realities, what the American people want answers to. Because, that Democratic, they weren't even getting anywhere near that kind of stuff. And I think grumpy old granduncle there was making it clear that, look, this whole email thing is going to straighten itself out, we hope, by the time the election comes up. But you know what? Why don't we start talking about other things as well? There's more going on than just Hillary Clinton's emails. I know some people on the right, they're so fixated on it. And I got to tell you, there is more things. Yeah, frankly, I'm going to piss off some people, but there are some things out there right now that are more important than Hillary Clinton's emails. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we need to get to the bottom of that mess. We need to make sure that everybody who is responsible for that mess is held accountable. But that cannot overshadow us trying to figure out who is going to lead this nation for the next 4 years or longer. This whole notion that we're just going to get stuck on sound bites and platitudes come on. Look, the mainstream media really does think very little of the American people as far as their intelligence is concerned, and that's an insult to you. It's a huge insult. Because they think they're more important than you are. Because, they think, well, geez, we know because we're the media, we know everything that's going on. And really, frankly, they don't know jack. Because they're, you know what? The mainstream media is like a Michael Moore. All they care about is the lies that they tell themselves, and they convince themselves that those lies are the truth. And you know what? You can go the old notion of, repeat a lie often enough and people will believe it as the truth, but it still doesn't make it the truth. Well, the truth is relative. Really? Truth is that gravity is real. Whatever you want to call it, it is real. And if you want to run around and tell people, oh, gravity doesn't exist, you can fly, and you start convincing people to jump off a 100-story building, they're going to fall to their death, whether or not they believe gravity or not. See, truth is basic, and it's black and white. There is no gray. Is there gray in gravity? No, there's not. It's either you obey the laws of gravity or you probably die. There is no, oh, well, maybe, you'll survive. Not likely. So I just, yeah, it's great television and great radio to hear Trump and Obama and all those guys and gals, dish out zinger after zinger. Yeah, hoot and holler, have fun, woohoo, yay, ha 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 ha, great. Now, how about we get back to the real issues? Okay, you got 5 minutes of funny ha ha. Now let's spend the rest of the time discussing real issues. And what your solutions are to those issues. How are you going to improve upon this particular issue? Or how are you going to fix this broken issue? We're not hearing enough of that. I know that, you know what, I just don't understand or know how people can be so in the tank for a candidate without knowing their positions. I mean, Hillary, Donald, there are people early on. Oh yeah, man, they're going to be they're the best person ever for the job. How do you know? They haven't said anything. I'm not saying that they're not, but how do you know? Because they haven't said anything. I know sometimes people get upset when you start telling the truth. I mean, look, one keynote address that I gave, I pretty much, dumped on Chris Christie. And there was a Chris Christie campaign worker there, and I think I pissed him off so bad that he left. He walked out. Well, let me tell you, there wasn't anything that I did not say that wasn't true. So if I don't care who you support at this point, but let me tell you this. If any American challenges you, frankly, you don't have a right to get upset. If they're asking you legitimate questions or they're pointing out a legitimate fact about your candidate of choice, there is no reason, rhyme nor reason for you to get upset. You need to be able to defend your choice, your candidate of choice. The problem is that most people, when they're confronted with the truth like that, they get pissed off because they can't defend it. Can't defend it because, one, either they don't know, maybe it's the first time they're hearing it, or they just don't know enough about the candidate in order to be functional with a response. And this kind of stuff is really, really gets my goat. And I listen to people and they tell me all kinds of stuff about, this guy is the only guy to do this, and this woman is the only person who can do this. And like, really, the only person out of 320 million people, they're the only ones? Are you listening to yourself? There is no only one. I know people are always saying, yeah, well, Republicans are always looking back to their gladiator days, if you will, of Ronald Reagan, the glory days. And they lament, there's not going to be another Reagan in our lifetime. No, you're right, there isn't. There's never, ever going to be another Ronald Reagan, just as there is never, ever going to be another George Washington. They were here, and now they're gone. But it doesn't mean that there are not other men and women who have the same type of belief system and faith system that they did. And we've got to, it's not that we need to stop comparing people to some of the great ones in our nation's history. But we've got to stop expecting them to be those people. That's the problem. We get a lot of conservatives that stay at home. Well, I'm just looking for another Ronald Reagan. Well, you're not going to find another Ronald Reagan. Get over it. He was president for 2 terms, his max. He was done, and now he's gone on to heaven. He's dead. You got to get over it. Are there other people who think similar to Ronald Reagan? Yes. So why are you not out there finding them and supporting them? Instead of sitting back in your living room chair and saying, well, I'm just going to stay home. I'm not voting because there's no Ronald Reagan out there. And nothing ignites my fire more when I hear stuff like that. Because that's just plain, that's not ignorance. That's just plain stupidity. That there were Republicans and conservatives that were stupid? Yeah, if you sit your little tail at home on election night because there isn't a Ronald Reagan running, you're stupid. We got to get past this stuff, folks. Because you're not going to find another Ronald Reagan because whether or not there's another candidate out there that thinks exactly like Ronnie does or did, you're still not going to look at them and view them as being another Ronald Reagan because there is only one. Plain and simple. And you people on the left, well, Hey, if you're looking for another Barack, it ain't Hillary. Just telling you, she's not Barack and she's not Bill. I know that's what a lot of people on the left are thinking. Oh man, her husband's Bill and she worked for Barack. She's going to be another Bill and Barack, man. No, she's not. She's not them. Both sides have got to get over this notion of looking for somebody who is exactly like somebody that they admired from the past, because they're gone. And what we have to do now is concentrate on the present and the future.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Start training for a new career in as little as 18 days. National EMS Institute's innovative boot camp program will train you for a new career. Learn to respond to emergency situations and become a certified EMT in just 18 days. National EMS Institute guarantees 100% job placement. Visit www.nationaleMSinstitute.com today to learn more about our 18-day boot camp. Or call us at 1-800-497-6732. NationalEMSInstitute.com.
Stuck in a boring, low-paid job? By 2017, there will be a shortage of 2 million cybersecurity jobs worldwide. If you have a technical background but don't have a computer certification, you are being drastically underpaid. In months, you could be qualified for a new job in information technology, making real money with real job security. A new career is just a few clicks away at thecodeoflearning.com.
603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Ron Eccles Show. Campusreform.org. This kind of dovetails with what I just said in the last segment. You know, we got to know what these people really stand for. Look, you people are, you know, some of you out there, you have college-age students, and many of you of college-age students that are going to college, you're paying at least part, if not all, of their tuition. And, you know, this whole notion that you need a bachelor's degree in order to get a good job, well, it really depends on the kind of job you want. Did I just sound like I was from New York? Depends on. Yeah, I like to make fun of accents. I do all the time. I make fun of, you know, to other people, I have an accent. And actually, I do have a slight accent. It's not a New England accent. I have something that's called a central or upstate New York accent at times. And I catch myself because I really hate it. Whenever you're in central New York, upstate New York, you know, aside from the colloquialisms, like instead of, you know, if you're in Buffalo, in Rochester in that area, on down into probably, I think, Erie, PA, people don't say soda, they say pop. You want a pop? Now, if I'm not mistaken, well, down south, you know, it's Coke, whether or not it's, no matter what it is. You know, you want a Coke? And that could be Coca-Cola, it could be Pepsi, it could be ginger ale. You want a Coke? That's what they call soda. And I think there are places in the country that they call it seltzer. I'm not sure where, I heard that. I'm like, well, who calls it seltzer? I've always just called it soda. I know some people say soda pop. They say the whole thing, soda pop. I'm not even sure where pop came from, actually. That's one of those things I should probably look up now that I get my curiosity going here. But look, I make fun of people around here with the various New England accents all the time. And look, I love the Maine accent. Yeah, as everybody says, you can't get there from here. Love that one. But I hate the Bostonian accent, parking the car down in the Boston Garden Garage. Yeah, it's in that area over there. I hate that accent. But yeah, and I live around it. But it's America. I mean, you go to different. Well, Alaskans have a particular accent. You know, we heard that very prominent with Sarah Palin. You know, West Coast people have an accent. So there are various southern drawls or southern accents depending on how deep you go and where you go to the south. I mean, it could be something from very, very slight. I mean, Texas has its own accent pretty much. And then you have the deep South accent, you have the Louisiana accent, there's all kinds. Nothing wrong with any of them. Some of them I like and some of them I don't, and I'm sure there are other people who feel the same way. So, but I make fun of all of them. I even make fun of myself sometimes when I catch myself saying certain things in a upstate New York type of way. You know, in New York, you can tell somebody who's from upstate New York by listening to how they pronounce their A's. They're elongated and flat. You know, most people would say, without quote unquote an accent, would say bank. Well, in upstate New York, it's bank. Ank. Ank. They flatten it out and nasal tone it for some reason. And sometimes I'll say something and I'll hear myself saying it that way, and I'll, mentally slap myself for doing it. But accents are fun, though. They are fun. Some of them are cool, some of them are cute, and some just sort of grate on me. But that's just the way. It's the same with foreign accents. Some foreign accents, people did. I'm not even going to get into that, which foreign accents I happen to prefer versus the ones I don't. Already probably ticked off enough people. But look, if you are sending your kids paying for at least part of their higher education. I'm going to stop using that term higher education because it's not higher. They're not learning anything. And for a lot of jobs out there, you really don't need, I mean, I know employers that say, well, we want you to have a bachelor's degree. Why? In anything? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm going to go for a job in, I don't know, let's say computer engineering. But you're going to take me if I have a bachelor's in history? What's that? How is that going to help me do the job? It's not. And frankly, no longer, I mean, it used to be because, people would say that, well, because you learned something. You learned how to be an adult, but that's not the case anymore in college. I mean, colleges are just issuing these stupid types of courses and degrees. That's why I make fun of them sometimes by saying, historical European underwater, watercolor art. I said that to one person once. I think, underwater watercolor? It would never survive. You do understand that water paint would dissolve in water, Rod. Shook my head. They missed the whole point. Hey, but there are people like that. You got to explain things to them, step by step. But Vassar College. Now, Vassar College is known as one of the preeminent colleges in the country, one of the preeminent institutes of higher learning in all of the U.S. of A. And I got some Harvard news here, so stick around for that. You're not going to believe this Harvard of all places. But here at Vassar College, from campusreform.org, administrators at Vassar College agreed to personally shred a pocket constitution of the United States of America. Let's make sure we're clear on that. They agreed to personally, now these are administrators, agreed to personally shred a pocket constitution after an undercover reporter posing as a student complained that she felt triggered by its distribution on campus. While professors at Oberlin College confided that they shared the reporter's misgivings about the founding document. They shared their misgivings about the Constitution. Now, the video was, there is a video. I'll put links of it up on rodeccles.net. The video was produced by Project Veritas, a non-profit established by conservative journalist James O'Keefe, and employs a similar style to the undercover Acorn videos that first brought him prominence. Remember those? How he basically brought down Acorn? So he did so badly that they changed their name everywhere. I don't think Acorn still, it does exist, but not in name. They had to change their name in just about all 50 states, I do believe. But the reporter says, last week, something kind of happened on campus that kind of really upset me, and I ended up having a panic attack, said the reporter tells Vassar College Assistant Director of Equal Opportunity. Assistant Director of Equal Opportunity? One reason why your tuition is so high, you got to pay for people in positions like this. Now, the assistant director's name is Kelly Grab, G-R-A-B. Now, this is what the undercover reporter, posing as a student, was telling this administrator. It's just I've been kind of hiding out in my room ever since, kind of scared. So finally somebody told me I should maybe come talk to you about it and see if there's anything that can happen or anything. They were handing the Constitution out on campus. He says, now, honestly, can we just destroy? Is there a shredder or something around? I think it might be really therapeutic. Now, Kelly Grab, she responds by saying, oh, Cato Institute. They were handing it out as soon as I saw it. You know, I started to not be able to breathe, hyperventilating. The undercover reporter elaborated. My vision went blurry and I kind of just lost control. Think about that for a second. Now, she was basically establishing a reaction that was triggered merely by offering copies of the United States Constitution on campus. By handing out the Constitution, not by anything the group said or did, other than just handing out the Constitution. Now, Kelly Grab offers the undercover reporter posing as a student her sympathies. And then she basically says, I think we should shred this. I wish we could really shred it. The reporter ends up saying, yeah, I guess maybe the Constitution should be removed from campus permanently. Now, Grab obviously stops short of endorsing that idea outwardly. But she does ask if there's anything she can do with a copy of the Constitution that was brought into her office. Honestly, said the reporter, can we just destroy it? Like, is there a shredder or something? Like, I think it might be really therapeutic. Cathartic. Yes, I think we have a shredder in the front office there. And then Grab responds, did you want me, or did you want to do it with me? Then the video shows that Kelly Grab proceeds to shred the entire Constitution page by page. Simply because an undercover reporter posing as a student says that she felt trapped, despondent, couldn't breathe by the simple act of somebody handing, not necessarily handing her one, but handing out the Constitution. This administrator not only sympathizes with this, but in a manner agrees with her. I mean, these are the people that you are entrusting your minds full of mush between the ages of 17 and 22. Educate your child. I wonder if they would have had, if Kelly Grab would have had the same reaction if this student, this undercover reporter posing as a student, came into her office and said, they're handing out the Quran. I doubt the reaction from Kelly Grab would have been the same. Think about it. We have a bunch of people that work in academia that for whatever reason, whatever their reason is, they hate this country. They hate it as it was founded. I just don't understand how somebody hates freedom and liberty. I don't. It is a natural human yearning. I don't understand how somebody absolutely hates freedom. I don't understand how they hate liberty. I don't understand why they hate giving the ability to each individual in this country to be responsible for themselves and let them live their lives as they see fit. I cannot fathom, I cannot understand that kind of mindset that goes against that. I mean, these people were brought up in this country. I mean, it would be one thing if all these academics were brought in from communistic countries like the Soviet Union or China or so, then you can kind of understand because they've been brainwashed all their life. Yeah, great. But these are people that were born and raised in the United States of America, and yet somehow throughout their childhood and their college days, they were groomed to hate the US of A. They were groomed to hate the notion of freedom. They were groomed to hate the notion that people should be free and have liberty to live their lives as each individual sees fit. And now they're teaching a new crop of kids to be America haters. When I saw the story, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Constitution is oppressive, is what the reporter said. And these liberal nut jobs, they agree. For whatever reason, they think that the Constitution is oppressive. Well, it's oppressive to them and their big government beliefs, yeah, because it keeps big government. Well, it's supposed to keep big government at bay. It works as long as they follow the law, the rule of law. But hey, we've got Obama now, and don't think that they have to do that anymore. So instead, look, they're against freedom no matter what. Unless, of course, you agree with them 100%, then you're totally free to agree with them. But according to them, you're not. According to the left, you're not free. You're not at liberty to disagree with them. I told you yesterday that they want to. One particular individual wants to use the RICO statute against people who deny climate change, man-made climate change. Yeah, do you know RICO is about racketeering? It's organized crime. And they want to apply organized crime legal statutes against people who do not espouse the same belief in man-made global climate change as they do. Oh, you're a criminal if you don't believe me. You're a criminal. Speaking of climate change, here's a story from Daily Caller. Again, we continue with the liberal idiocy and fallacy of being accepting and open. The IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. Lead author, IPCC lead author, says we've had 25 years of failed global warming policies. Yeah. He's come out and said it, but yeah, now pay attention here because this is the lead author of the IPCC. Those people who believe in global climate change and global warming and thinks that everybody on the planet should be made and forced through governmental policy, possibly at the end of a barrel of a gun, forced to live the way they tell them that they need to live in order to save the planet. 25 years of failed global warming policies have made us poorer, less wealthy, less financially sound. Environmental economist Richard Tol, T-O-L, wants the world to deal with global warming, but his data shows that the past 25 years of climate policies in rich countries have done nothing to fundamentally tackle the issue. If anything, Tol argues, current and past climate policies have only served to make most people poorer while benefiting those in politically favored industries or connections to powerful politicians. What have I been telling you all this time about this whole notion of global climate change? It's all about the money and how they can extort it from you and me. And now here is an economist, what the hell is an environmental economist anyway? That's a specialty, I guess, huh? An economics specialty? Did they teach that in college at Vassar? You have an environmental economist who is a lead author on the IPCC panel who's saying that, look, this global warming crap has only served one thing, to make most of us poorer. And according to them, the planet isn't any better off even after we've implemented all this stuff. I mean, look, you got some people out there who want to. I know there. You know what? I get sick and tired. I get sick and tired of people doing this, especially with memes. I like memes when memes, they just point out a small little smidgen of the fact, or they're funny. But some people think that memes can actually deliver in a meme tidbit a big truth. Well, usually when they do that, they're not comparing apples to apples. It's always apples to oranges. Like, hey, look, it's recent memes. Iceland doesn't have an army. Iceland has a booming economy. Iceland is the world's greenest country, as far as energy production. Iceland put all the evil bankers who tried to destroy their economy in jail. Iceland has a lower rate of crime. The lowest rate in the entire world. But see, here's the problem. Iceland has about 350,000 people in the entire country. That's it. So naturally, there's going to be less crime. Now, couple that with the fact that the population density is one of the lowest on the planet. And they have done, I remember from studies from the 70s and 80s and early 90s that Harvard did these studies, and other institutes of ill repute did these studies about population density. And the higher the density gets, the higher the crime rate is. And they did this study. They started out with with this rat study. They had these rats that was a low density, and rats, they were all communal and got along with each other. Then they started adding more rats to the same amount of space. And all of a sudden there were fights. And then there was rat thievery. And they kept adding more rats to the same amount of space, so the density starts going up. And there's more rat crime, basically. So we find that rates of crime are highest in high-density populated areas and lowest in low-density populated areas. Therefore, when you have an entire country that's at the low-density end, well, according to those studies, their own liberal studies, they're going to have a lower rate of crime. So we've got cities that have more people than the entire country of Iceland. So how can you possibly compare what's going on in Iceland with those cities? Now, you can also talk about the greening of Iceland. Well, Iceland is basically a nation that they get a lot of their energy production from geysers, I guess. From steam that comes up out of the ground. Iceland's a hotbed for that. Well, a lot of countries don't have that opportunity. Just not available to them. But we do know that other countries that have tried to go green and use, a very large portion, if not most of their energy production from green industries like Spain, they go bankrupt. Energy costs skyrocket. People don't want that. Hey, You know, Richard Toll says, hey, all these wonderful policies just serve to make us poorer. And look, we still have they're still claiming we have a planet that's dying and heating up, even though there hasn't been any significant warming whatsoever in the past 10 or 15 years. And that's NASA's data. We gotta, I'll continue this later when we get back.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. You've got to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges, all that kind of wonderful stuff. Because if you don't, basically all you're going to do is you're not going to get the right information. It's not going to do anything for you. It's just going to mislead you. And people are going to have all these, these wonderful thoughts about, what should be or can be done to change the meme when the meme is basically a lie. That's all there is to it. When it comes right down to it, when they do these types of memes, and they're done on purpose, by the way. And I'm not saying the left are the only ones that do these types of memes. The right does them as well. But you have to be careful and make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges, because when it comes to all this wonderful technology that we supposedly have, we have for energy creation. Yeah, look, I'm just as green as the next regular guy. I would love to be able to have green energy creation. Look, YouTube is full of how people can do it themselves. Various methods. Now, see, my only take is if only out of all the different methods out there, if only 10% of them actually really worked, that's huge. So
why aren't we focusing on trying to figure out which of those alternative energy methods? I mean, there's the perpetual magnetic engine. I don't even know if that works. Now, supposedly there's a few people out there that are touting these perpetual motion or perpetual magnetic energy generators that supposedly are generating all the energy needs for their home. And to put it in basic perspective for you, basically what it is, it's an electric motor pretty much, and they've wired this electric motor in such a configuration, with all the wires, the copper wires and so forth, and they put magnets, powerful magnets in there, and then they set this thing spinning, and because of the spinning motion and the magnets keep it perpetually in motion, it's supposed to produce energy, and it never stops. Now, I don't know if that works or not, but I've seen a couple of videos from some people in Australia that claim to have one, out in the West Coast that claim to have one, some guy I think down in Pennsylvania that claimed to have one. But none of this stuff seems to, and they actually sell plans for you to make one yourself, but I never see any of this stuff get to the mainstream. So does it really work? I don't know. I mean, what we hear about is what the wonderful politicos and big business types want us to hear about. What do we hear about? Well, wind energy and solar. Well, both on a grid type of system are extremely expensive. I mean, if you want to, all this notion of, put solar panels on your roof, I'd love to do that, but they're extreme. If I wanted to put solar panels on my own home, you were talking $30,000 to $50,000. And if I know you can get subsidies and grants and that kind of stuff from the government, and that's still gonna only bring the cost by half at most. So you're still spending $15,000 to $20,000 out of pocket. And it's not 100% reliable. By that I mean, if you're in the north, winters can be pretty bad on a solar system. It only works if light hits it. Well, you get snow up there on your roof, and that sort of blocks the light. And of course, you have the wind turbines, and I know the big giant ones. I mean, those things are really expensive as well. And in a lot of communities, you can't put your own little mini windmill on your property for whatever reason. I guess they're just too damn ugly, according to these people. I don't know. I mean, if I wanted to put a small windmill up on my property, I'd dare them to try to stop me. But again, they only work when the wind's blowing. And I know that there are some models out there that claim to work in wind as low as 3 miles per hour. But most, I think, need a 7 or 10 mile per hour wind in order to and it's got to be constant in order for it to work and generate any kind of power. And those systems still, they tend to fall short of what an entire household needs to run. But yeah, it would be kind of great if everybody had one. If every individual home had one out there, it would cut our need for, big central power generating stations. It would cut them significantly. I agree. But at what cost? Don't get me wrong. I believe that there are alternative sources of energy out there that we haven't figured out yet. Maybe it is solar. We just haven't figured out how to do it most efficiently yet. We can get there, but not if we don't let the market do it. Because if you keep on with these stupid government subsidies and grants, the price is going to remain artificially high. There isn't going to be a big rush to try to have a major breakthrough. One of the things with, electric cars, the major auto industry, all of them, they hem and haw and they drag their feet and they blame that, we don't have battery technology that'll work. And they didn't work on the battery technology very hard or very often. And they just kept saying, it's just not. And all of a sudden, one of them decided, well, why don't we do something called a hybrid? And the Prius took off. And now all of a sudden, all the major auto manufacturers, they have at least one hybrid. And it wasn't government that did it. It was the industry seeing that something was viable and they could make a profit on. And they could make something that consumers would want. Look, you see, this stupid Prius is all over the place. I'm not a huge fan of the Prius. I'm not saying the car doesn't work. There are a lot of people very happy with it. I'm saying the reason behind it is flawed. But you're going to have people make memes out there saying, yeah, this country, all they have is Priuses running around and they don't have any gas pollution, blah. Well, yeah, and they're saying that it's some island nation. Well, it's not the same thing when you got a country that's, over 3,000 miles wide. The wonderful Maine is you can't get there from here. Well, especially if look, you got Tesla out there, all electric vehicle. But here's the problem. Sure, electric vehicles are clean. All electric vehicles are clean. Most of them don't have a very long range. In fact, most of them are, at least in this area, if you're trying to commute, it doesn't have enough range to get you to work and back. And there's not enough plug-in stations, but that's the other rub. Even if you had all these wonderful plug-ins, we got Tesla plug-in stations along the highway here in New Hampshire. That's all. There's not many New Hampshireites or Massachusetts people that have Teslas because they're just not. I mean, I've seen them running around. They do. That is a beautiful car, by the way. I've seen a couple of the. I'm not sure which model it is, but I've seen the exact same one about 5 or 6 times here in New England. It's a beautiful car. I'd love to have one just because it looks beautiful. It's a gorgeous vehicle. But the reality of it is, how reliable is it? And once we get past the reliability issue, how are we charging it? Let's face it, the Tesla charging stations on the highway are not solar powered. So are you really saving anything if you're using electricity? I mean, let's face it, internal combustion engines are very clean nowadays. And they're getting more and more efficient. So in many cases, depending on where you live or where you're driving, the air coming out of the tailpipe is actually cleaner than the air going into the intake. So vehicles are very efficient today. But they're using that dreaded fossil fuel. Oh, how terrible. Well, most of our power generating stations are some form of fossil fuel. So, I mean, are you really saving anything by buying a Tesla? Are you saving the planet? No, you're not. And depending on where you live, after you add up the cost of electricity, are you actually saving there? Because you're trading basically your petrol dollars for your electric dollars. So are you getting this? Is the mileage equivalent or better with an electric vehicle and the cost versus there's a whole. You got to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, and often people do not just to try to make their point seem better and more viable. And my problem is if you have a good point, you don't need to make it seem better by lying about it or misleading people about it. That's my 2 cents on that. Welcome back anyway, folks. You are listening to yours truly, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show. Want to welcome back all you liberty lovers, all you freedom seekers, all you ecclesiastites, all you global freedom seekers that are listening to the program. The number that you can call is toll-free, 603-835-3224. As we continue on into the program. So understand that the IPCC is saying the global warming plans and policies that have been in place the last 25 years have only most of us poorer, and only a very few well-connected politicos and business people wealthy. I told you that, and that's coming directly from the IPCC. From the Washington Examiner, here's something that sort of makes me bristle with anger. Now, at first, I brought you the story, was it last week? How VA officials were refusing to testify before Congress committees. Well, now they finally decided to, I guess, go ahead and appear, but they plead the fifth. They refused to testify. Executives at the Department of Veterans Affairs invoke their Fifth Amendment rights and refuse to answer questions about whether they abused a program that compensates them for taking jobs in other states during a hearing before the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Now, frankly, if you're a government employee and you're called to give record and testimony of your performance, there is no pleading the fifth. So what these people are saying is, oh, well, we probably knowingly broke a number of rules or laws, so we're not going to incriminate ourselves because of it, because we know that we did wrong, and we're just going to plead the fifth because we have a right not to incriminate ourselves. But no, and I know people are probably going to say, but Rod, it's the Constitution. No. See, here's the thing: you're talking about giving an account for your job performance. You have to nobody gets away with not being able to give an account for their job performance without being fired. I don't understand why we are going through, as bad as the VA is today. Why are we handling these people with kid gloves? Look, here's the deal. You're going to give us an account of your job performance or you're fired. There is no fifth here. We're not accusing you of criminality, but if you actually did something wrong, you're probably going to get fired. But let me tell you something. If you don't testify, you're fired. That's the way these people need to be handled, not begging and pleading and subpoenaing and giving them a subpoena and then having them ignore the subpoena, and then finally when they decide to go and appear that they're going to plead the fifth. Oh, hell no. I'd be the congressman sitting up there saying, look, two choices. Yes, you got two choices. Choose to get fired later, maybe get fired later, or definitely get fired now. Which choice is yours? And if they choose to definitely get fired now, well, then there's something wrong. And most likely there was some criminal shenanigans going on and needs to be a criminal investigation. Diane Rubens and Kimberly Graves, two VA officials cited in a scathing Inspector General report in September, had to be subpoenaed to appear before the committee after refusing to appear to an earlier hearing. But while the subpoena got them in the room, the two declined to answer any questions. Now, Representative Jeff Miller, who chairs the VA committee, said before questioning the witnesses Monday night, requiring these individuals or any individual to appear is not meant to embarrass them. Now, executives at the VA netted $2 million by abusing the relocation program. This is what the VA Inspector General found in a September report. So if that is true, if they enrich themselves with taxpayer dollars at the expense of our vets by abusing a relocation program, well, doesn't sound like it's real criminal, but it is definitely worthy of them being fired. Now, again, one of the things that's going to raise a red flag to me is when somebody says, well, I plead the fifth. Because if I were a congressman, I'd be sitting there saying, what? This isn't a criminal investigation. What are you talking about, pleading the fifth? We want to know what you know, how this happened, so we can change it and fix it so it doesn't happen again. What are you talking about? You're pleading the fifth. Are you saying you potentially committed a crime? I mean, that's the first thing that would come to my mind. And I would reiterate, look, you are in charge of caring for this nation's military veterans. The VA is in shambles. It's in disarray. It's giving poor treatment to most of our vets. And yet, you're abusing a relocation program and pocketing up to $2 million through the whole program. And you don't want to respond? Well, I think it's now time for the FBI to investigate, don't you? I respectfully decline to answer. Plead the fifth, Congressman. There ain't no way in hell I'd allow him to get away with this. No way in heaven, hell, universe, Gaia's world. I don't care what you. No way in Hades or Asgard or Olympia or any other place would I allow them to get away with this. I cover everything. I don't know. Where'd Buddha go? Nirvana? Is that? I don't know. Is that? I don't know where all the heavens are, depending on which religion you are. Well, not Olympia, but Mount Olympus for Greeks and Romans. Is it? Yeah. We're the Roman gods. So the Roman gods are basically they were basically stolen from the Greek gods. That's still Mount Olympus for Roman gods too. I don't. Mythology. There's so many of them, because Valhalla is Vikings and Odin, and that's Asgard, where they. I'm going to have to watch the Avengers again to find out where Thor is from. Well, Asgard. It's from Asgard. And you can learn stuff from movies put out by Hollywood. Maybe we'll learn stuff about this if somebody makes a movie on it. Now, wouldn't that be a pip? Hey, go to the movie theater to find out what the inner workings of the VA administration were. Because nobody else wants to talk about it. You have to go into, you have to go to a movie. Make a movie. That should do it. Then we'll get to the truth. Maybe we should make what's his name? The fat slobby one. Michael Moore. Director. And producer. And the writer. Doesn't he do it all? He's got a new movie coming out, right? I have no idea what it's about. I think I saw something today about Michael Moore has a new film. Either he's working on or it's done, and I don't know. I don't particularly care what the ugly. Hey, make a movie if you want. In any case, these people are saying that the report alleged Rubens had created a less demanding position for herself in Philadelphia, billing the agency for $274,000 in moving expenses and retaining her six-figure salary despite having fewer duties in the new $274,000. For doing what? Remember, folks, that's taxpayer money. You're paying her salary. Hey, maybe maybe I'm in the wrong line of work or something, because to do nothing and get away with it and make over $250,000 sounds pretty sweet to me.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Start training for a new career in as little as 18 days. National EMS Institute's innovative boot camp program will train you for a new career. Learn to respond to emergency situations and become a certified EMT in just 18 days. National EMS Institute guarantees 100% job placement. Visit www.nationaleMSinstitute.com today to learn more about our 18-day boot camp. Or call us at 1-800-497-6732. NationalEMSInstitute.com.
Stuck in a boring, low-paid job? By 2017, there will be a shortage of 2 million cybersecurity jobs worldwide. If you have a technical background but don't have a computer certification, you're being drastically underpaid. In months, you could be qualified for a new job in information technology, making real money with real job security. A new career is just a few clicks away at thecodeoflearning.com.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Welcome back. Now on to that story that I promised you earlier about Harvard. The venerable Institute of Higher Learning known as Harvard. Or as most of us say, Harvard. This is from the Daily Caller. Actually kind of laughed a little bit when I saw this because I just thought it was so ridiculous. Activists, I don't know if they're students or not, but activists at Harvard are calling for the university's law school. The Harvard Law. Wasn't there a TV show about Harvard Law? Wasn't called. There may have been a number of TV shows. But anyway, activists at Harvard University are calling for the university's law school to abolish and replace its long-standing seal. Because I almost really don't want to repeat this stupidity, this utter and sheer madness. Activists at Harvard University are calling for the university's law school to abolish and replace its long-standing seal, the seal of Harvard Law, Harvard School of Law, because it's based on the crest of a family that owned slaves. So in other words, they're saying that the great seal, if you will, of Harvard School of Law is racist. I kid you not. Harvard protesters say Harvard Law School seal is racist and needs to be decolonized. I don't... Folks, when such sheer stupidity rears its ugly head, I don't know where to go with it. I don't. It makes absolutely no. It doesn't even make any illogical sense. I don't know where they. It makes no sense anyway. Harvard's School of Law, or law school, HLS, was founded all the way back in 1817 and is the country's second oldest law school. The land Harvard used for the school and the money it used to pay for its first professor were provided by the estate of Isaac Royal Jr., a New England landowner who owned slaves. In gratitude, the law school uses the royal family crest. Now, royal is spelled R-O-Y-A-L-L. Double L, not single L. Kind of interesting that, royal family. You get it. Now, the family crest shows 3 sheaves of wheat as the school's crest. To this day, the school maintains a royal chair of law. R-O-Y-A-L-L again. Now students say that Royal's legacy must be purged from the college because of his ties to slavery. They've launched a movement called Royal Must Fall, inspired by a similar effort at the University of Cape Town that led to a statue of Cecil Rhodes being torn down. South Africa? They're comparing... Well, of course they're comparing some other European... No, it's not even European. South Africa. African college. I mean, the royal family made their money from a sugar plantation in Antigua. And he and his father crushed a planned rebellion by allowing 77 people to be burned alive, including Hector, the family's slave driver and leader of the revolt. This is what the movement's Facebook page argues. We ask our own administration to stand in solidarity with the protesters of South Africa, decolonize Harvard Law, and honor the enslaved people who actually founded this school. Oh my good. Again, people, this is Harvard. Cambridge, Boston, Massachusetts, Harvard. I get, what they would tell me? Well, Rod, you should be happy that we're trying to get rid of all this slave stuff. Well, why are we trying to purge our history of history? And that is what the left is trying to do. We're trying to, I don't know where to go with this. Because it's just so idiotic. It really is. But look, all of the state institutions of this country are now under attack simply because maybe at one point somebody that was once affiliated with or part of that state institution might have once owned, or their family probably did at one time or another in their family's history, owned slaves, and therefore whatever that institution, state institution, means or stands for or has as a representation is racist, and it must be demolished, demoralized, and purged from our history. Can we say that's just about everything in this country then? Really? I mean, and bad enough that we go after people who want to fly the Confederate battle flag. And then now we're going to change all of that. This PC political correctness, and I don't care if it's a microaggression or not. This politically correct idiocy has gone way too far, and it has been going on for far too long. And people are you're going to start having riots. People are there's going to be a major backlash against this stuff. I'm just telling you people on the left because it's inane and it makes no sense. By the way, gay rape in military is underreported, says the Pentagon. Did you hear that one? Yeah. Look, I'm not making this up. This is what the Pentagon says. This is, one of the things that now I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because of the truth behind it. One of the things that one of the reasons that we kept saying, those on the right kept saying that it's not a good idea to open up the military to this type of openness of LGBT or whatever you want to call it, is that there was going to be increased problems. Well, lo and behold, now male-on-male rape is underreported in the military. And we used to think that it was male-on-female. Rape was terrible. Now it's male-on-male? I didn't bother to read the report. I just thought maybe you can check it out. It's on rodeccles.net if you want. But I just found it a little bit fascinating that our military is reporting that. And you got to wonder if anything's because hey, the left always accuse the military of not doing enough or doing anything at all to stem the tide of female rape. Male on female rape, and there was this wonder if they're going to accuse the military of having a culture of hiding male-on-male rape when military didn't want gays to openly serve in the first place. I'm just saying. I don't know where that's going. More than 350 languages are spoken in the U.S. 54% of Los Angeles, California, shuns English at home. Now, I don't have a problem with that because this is the melting pot of the world. You know, people can speak their native tongue as much as they want. They can even speak it in their home sans English if they want. I don't care. Good on you for that one. However, when it comes to the language of business and government in this country, it's English. And we should have long ago established English as the official state language. Plain and simple. There's nothing unconstitutional about doing that, by the way. It's unconstitutional. No, it's not. It's called assimilation. Look, you don't get to go. No other country does what we do as far as anti-assimilation and allowing people just to demand that the government of that country speak 300 different languages. I mean, if you want to talk about discriminatory, you have all these government documents in certain languages, but not in others. People have a right to say, well, that's discriminatory. Well, in a way it is. What it actually should be is just English only. Learn to speak English. Learn to read it. You're going to live here, English is it. I mean, if I'm going to move to France, I'm fully expected, I would expect myself to learn French. If I'm moving to Greece, I would expect for me to learn Greek. Or anywhere else I go. If I move to Hunan province, I would expect that I should have to learn is it Mandarin in Hunan province? I think it's Mandarin. Chinese. I don't understand what. Are we going to make this? This is from the Washington Times, by the way. I mean, it's not a big deal that all these languages are spoken here in this country because, after all, the United States is the melting pot. Everybody around the world comes here. And it's kind of cool and neat to hear various types of languages that you never otherwise would hear because you would never go to many of these home countries where the languages are spoken. And indeed, probably most of them you wouldn't want to go anyway, but that's beside the point. But when it comes down to brass tacks and you need to communicate and everything is done in English, that needs to be our official language. Plain and simple. Are any of the presidential candidates, I know the left isn't, but any of the Republican candidates saying that English needs to be the official language? I know Rubio's has been getting pounded lately for his stance on illegal immigration. And rightfully so. I'm sorry. He thinks if he thinks at all that there should be anything called amnesty for the 11 million, 20 million, 30 million, how many of them there are here. If he thinks that there should be a pathway to legalize citizenship, he's dead wrong. And he needs to be taken to task on it. Plain and simple. And we need to have candidates that say, hey, English is going to be our official language if I'm president. I want to hear that. And a lot of Americans want to hear that. A lot of legal immigrants who've become citizens want to hear that. This is America, after all. This isn't, little Taiwan or little Japan or little Hong Kong or little Tokyo or little Berlin or little Paris or little Madrid or little Athens. No, it's big America. And English is spoken here. If I go to Africa and I'm in a country that speaks Swahili, I should be expected to speak Swahili. Plain and simple. I mean, if you're just visiting, that's one thing, but it amazes me that we have the left who is so frightened of wanting to demand that people learn English, when the reality is that English is the international language of business. If you're doing international business, almost everybody doing international business speaks English. And look, it's not just because of America. I mean, hell, part of the reason is because of Great Britain, frankly. I know everybody wants to, on the left, he wants to take the U.S. down a notch. Well, it's not just the United States, it's England. Well, Great Britain. Look, in Great Britain they have places that speak more than just English. They speak Gaelic and other like down in the Aucklands, they Portuguese. But the official language of the state of Great Britain is English. Not such a far stretch for us to demand the same consideration. CNS News is reporting that the feds have relocated to all 50 states and D.C. over 81,000 unaccompanied illegal alien children. I told you when they first started coming here, that's exactly what those of us on the right told you was going to happen. They were going to start shipping these children all over the place. Now, once these children have been placed where they're being placed, what happens next? Oh, we can't keep these children separated from their parents and their families. And now we're starting to see their parents show up. And they're placed all over the country. Literally. All 50 states. And D.C. 81,000 of them. The Federal Office of Refugee Resettlement has released data updated as of November 2nd that shows in the last 2 years, some people might think that I'm being a broken record. No, I'm making a point. 81,038 illegal alien minors who entered the U.S. without a parent or guardian were subsequently placed with adult sponsors in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. In the last 2 years, read that as 24 months. Over 81,000 illegal alien children who were shipped to the United States by their parents. Now, according to the unoccupied children released to sponsors by state, statistics confirmed by a spokesman for the Administration for Children and Families, which operates ORR, which is the Office of Refugee Resettlement. 27,520 unaccompanied illegal alien minors have been released to sponsors around the United States in fiscal year 2015, October 14th to 2014 to September 2015. This is in addition to the 53,518 children released into the United States in fiscal year 2014. Now, those statistics bring the total of illegal alien children who were apprehended, placed with ORR, and then released to sponsors over that time period to a whopping 81,038 kids. Want to know if Your state is among the top 10 in receiving the most illegal alien children? Well, they are, as expected, Texas, California, New York, Florida, Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, Georgia, North Carolina, and even one of the poorest states in the Union, Louisiana, took in over 2,200 of them. Look, we are destroying our nation from within. I know some people are probably saying, well, you're just so cruel-hearted, Rod. How could you possibly do that to kids? Look, those kids have a very long rope attached to them. That rope is tied to their families back from whence they came. That rope is now being tugged, and those families are starting to appear. You're erasing our borders and bringing in all of these illegals who have nothing real to contribute to our society, but will be a drain. Just think about it. That's an additional 81,000 kids that now have to be educated, going to public schools, being supported by who? American taxpayers. I'm not trying to be cruel or cold-hearted, but I am trying to be a realist here. Look, you got people around the world who understand the dangers of doing this kind of thing without assimilating people into their own culture, into your own culture. I mean, you got people that are marching and protesting by the thousands in Germany against the seemingly unlimited flood of so-called refugees going into. I mean, you got Eastern European countries like Hungary and places like that who are trying to hold them at bay. I mean, hell, you got the Chancellor, President, or whatever of Bavaria saying, you know what, Bavaria is going to take 1,800 refugees. We're going to ship the rest of them by bus to Angela Merkel's office and let her deal with them. And you got one town that's willing to take. Well, I don't know if they're willing to, but they're preparing for the increased violence and crime because it's a town of 102 people, residents, and they're going to bring in over 700 refugees. Think about this: you have 100 natives there versus 700 non-natives. Who do you think is going to win that battle? Is this what we're trying to do in this country? We're trying to overwhelm the people, the citizens of this country with illegals and other immigrants who have not, because all those 700 people have nothing to, they're not bringing anything to improve the lives of the 100 people that are already there. So we're going to bring in millions of these people, allow millions of them to stay, who are not contributing very much of anything at all to our society in general, but are becoming a tremendous drain on our society. That's not how you advance a nation. That's how you destroy a nation. That's how you tear it down. That's how you make it unacceptable for those who are already there. Hey, by the way, finally tonight, we're an overly prescribed, overly drugged nation, as you already know. But I didn't know the numbers were this high. Nearly 60% of all Americans are taking legal prescription drugs. Most of them are psycho types of drugs, for mental disorders and what have you. Oh, yeah. No wonder nobody knows what's going on. That's the end for tonight. See you tomorrow. I'm Rod Eccles. From the Rod Eccles Show. Have a good one. I'm out.